For most of us who have received our Holy Sacraments, we trust that the celebrant performed the ceremonies correctly and as intended by God. But for one priest in Detroit, after watching a video of his own baptism, he soon realized that his sacraments he assumed to be true were invalid by one misspoken word. Father Matt Hood from the Archdiocese of Detroit joins us to tell us about his experience with his baptism blunder. And first of all, Father Matt, what was your reaction when you heard your baptism wasn't valid, and because of that, neither was your ordination?
Yeah, it was very shocking when I first found out. The Vatican Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith put out their clarification. And just recently, before that, I saw my baptism video, so I knew what was said. And it was the range of emotions. You know, at first it was sadness, confusion, feeling alienated. I've been a priest for 3 years. I thought I was a priest for 3 years, but it was very quickly alleviated because the Archbishop and the Archdiocese of Detroit worked really quickly to remedy the situation. So that was a huge consolation for me.
Wow. So you said you realized this when your father sent you an old home video of your baptism during the pandemic. And while watching it, you realized that the deacon said the words "we baptize" instead of the correct "I baptize." And it's interesting because if you remember in 2009, President Obama had to take the oath of office a second time because a word was out of sequence the first time. So it's not just Catholic ceremonies. Why are words so important?
Words are important because we know there's a big difference between someone saying "I love you" versus "I don't love you." You know, we can imagine how important that is. And when it comes to the sacraments, the words that we use inform what we believe. So when you say "we baptize," it's not so much that it was just a mistake, but it changes what we believe about baptism. Because it's Christ who baptizes. When a priest baptizes and he says, "I baptize," it's really Christ saying that through him. This is Jesus. So the words inform what we believe. And when we say "we baptize," then it's no longer Christ who baptizes, but it's the community. And it's not Christian baptism.
Right. And now you discovered the mistake because you had video evidence. Some people may not have videos of their baptisms, so they may never know. What do you suggest people do to find out if this happened to them? Because like we were saying earlier, with a priest, it's not their intention to do this. It's no fault of the babies, you know, and in God's eyes, is it still valid?
So my whole situation shouldn't be a reason for anyone to have any anxiety about their own situation. If you do have a video of your baptism and you're interested in watching it, that's great. But it's not a reason for greater concern. You know, God, in his providence, the vast majority of all baptisms are valid. And if there's evidence that we are aware of that it wasn't valid, then we can act on it. But it's not a reason for concern otherwise.
All right, so what about the other babies who were baptized along with you? Did you get in touch with them, or even the deacon who performed your baptism? And what about the ceremonies and sacraments you celebrated? Are they valid?
So I haven't been in touch with the deacon, but there were about around over 700 baptisms that this would have affected.
Wow.
And the Archdiocese has reached out to them, and they're working to remedy the situation as quickly as possible. For my ministry, since I wasn't a validly ordained priest, all of the sacraments that I celebrated, ironically, except for baptism, were invalid. So they've had to be redone. I did a few confirmations, and those have already been remedied. And for the marriages, those are already in the process. Most of those are already remedied.
All right, Father Matt Hood, thanks for sharing your experience with us.
Of course. God bless.
If you're watching Currents News on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and then click on the bell to get instant updates about all of our newest content, because we are putting your faith in the news.